transition. So Chuck called Buck, and here you are on Blaine and Mickey. Chuck, what can I do for you?
Mickey, I have no problem with that. You're actually better looking than Buck in a lot of ways. So.
Wow, way older too. Thanks for that. I'll take it.
Way older. So am I. What I was going to tell him about was I like the schedule, and one of the reasons I really do is the Thursday night game with the Cowboys in Week 17. If we, after that game, have the division locked up and our seeding's not going to matter, we could potentially rest some players for 17 days before the playoffs start. So I think could be a huge advantage for this team. I really think this team's going to go 12-5 again. I don't know if they're going to be the number one seed, but they're going to be the division champion, and that chance of resting some players that may have a little things and here and there could really come in handy then.
Chuck, I like the optimism. Chuck has already got the 12-5 again, which, by the way, everybody who won 10 games last year made the playoffs, and in each conference, one team that won 9 got in. So a well-played 9 could have even gotten you in last year. So Chuck is already – and this lends itself to one of my observations of the schedule, and I can't wait to ask Blaine about this because he's going to be looking at it from a player's perspective too. But Chuck is saying, gosh, you get to Dallas – let's say you've already locked some stuff up. He's looking at Jacksonville thinking, hey, they're probably not going to be very good. Maybe you've locked up the division or whatever. You can sit guys. I never want to try to get that optimistic before the season starts. But I do like Chuck's optimism. You can join us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline just like Chuck did if you want to. I have seen less complaining about this schedule than I've ever seen for a Titans schedule. As long as I've had access to social media where people can go readily and complain about anything immediately, used to you had to go to work the next day and read about it online or in the newspaper, and then people would stand around the coffee pot at work and complain about it. Now they can just go to Facebook or Twitter. I mean, we can go through this, Blaine, and I'm super curious to get your thoughts and your observations. But my first observation was nobody's really complaining about this, and they always complain. Every team thinks the schedule maker screws them, their fans, every year. Oh, we got screwed. We got to go to Las Vegas and Buffalo and see whatever it is. I saw less complaining about the schedule than I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I never really have complaints. It's tough. Like, as a player, I used to look at the schedule and go, now that they have 17 games, the early bye week at 6 is a big difference. I wouldn't like that. Now, naturally, you always want it in the middle.
Yep.
But I would have wanted it in the middle to the later. So I would like it at week 9 or 10, because then I feel like I get another bye, unless like the caller just called in talking about Jaguars, and maybe you can rest some players. I don't ever buy into that because as a player, it's so hard to win games. I'm never going to assume that we're going to win. I think the Texans, Jaguars are going to be better. Now, will they be competitive for playoffs? Probably not. That doesn't mean that they can't beat you, one of the 2 games.
Texans did last year.
Right. So, I mean, with Mills, by the way, yeah. And I think he's going to be better because from the first time we saw him to the second time, he looked like a different player, the quarterback from Stanford. So I would never make those assumptions. I would always just assume what I see in face value. You're playing the Colts twice early. I don't like that. You might be playing not playing at your best. So I don't like that at all. I'd rather reverse it at playing the Colts in later and switch it with the Jags and the Texans. I know they always try to have the Texans last because we moved from Houston. I thought they got 4 primetime games, which is what I predicted. So I got you on that.
You nailed it. That's
I got lucky.
Most they've ever had scheduled before a season. You got it.
Yeah, I thought it was the most.
Ties the most.
Yeah, ties the most that they've ever had during a regular season, especially here in the last decade.
Yeah.
I thought they would because of Tannehill and King coming back and what they did last season. But what I didn't like, though, I thought that it should have had another primetime game. I thought they should have had, and maybe because of the markets are small, the Bengals. I thought that should be a primetime game because they beat the Titans in the playoffs in the first, or second round, first game here. So that's going to be a lot of hype around it. But I think just because it's the viewers from Cincinnati and maybe Nashville, I would say is not so much in that boat, but they still are.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that wasn't other than that, I thought the first game, as much as I was like, oh, they're going to win that game, I think it's a very dangerous game. because Dayball, who was the OC for Buffalo, knows everything he needs to know about the Titans, especially defensively, which is their strength, at least going into the season, and we would assume it would be. So that game would make me a little bit more nervous than expected. I think that's a game you're supposed to win, and you should talk it up, but I think I don't like playing them first. To be honest, as a player, I never felt comfortable about a new head coach to a new team the first game of the season.
Oh.
Yeah, I just don't. Because I could go back and watch film of him with Buffalo, but different personnel, he may change some things up. And that first game is always difficult for both teams, regardless, home or away, just because they may have some tricks in their bag and they've got all off season to study you. So I never liked that first game. But then knowing that he knows us and that the Giants, I think, are a little more underrated. I think they got some personnel that can beat you. The Titans better jump on them really early and start fast in that game. I'm hoping that happens. But other than that, I was cool with it. It's just interesting. I'm always going to look at it from a defensive back's point of view. By the way, excuse me, Buck, I played corner in college. I played safety.
I texted him.
Yeah. But so, I'm always going to look at the quarterbacks who are playing because they can put a rabbit out of their hat.
Yeah.
And they can beat you by themselves. And so that's why I was saying the schedule wasn't easy to me. So when I see, 10 quarterbacks, that I go, uh-oh, they can just start, slinging it around all over the place and really beat us by themselves, making some big-time plays. So that makes me nervous, too. I know the league does it, and they're doing some form of, I guess, equations, behind the scenes that looks at last season. I think you talked about it.
Record last season. Yeah.
So I don't look at that. And I think most players look at, you start with the quarterback, and then you kind of look and see. So, if I look overall, we can kind of go game by game, but I see them winning at least 10 games. And I'm always going to side on the lower end. Mm-hmm. I really believe they can win 11, but, a lot of things happen during the season that you don't know, whether it's injuries or, somebody, I don't know, may test positive for something else. I just don't know. But when I look at the schedule, I still feel like it's tough because I don't know what to expect. I'm going to say they're going to split with the Colts, right? I'm just going to say that off the cuff without even looking at the schedule. Then I'm going to go, well, the Texans beat us last year. We may split with them. I'm always going to assume that we're going to win the home games. But it may not work out that way. I think the schedule was and then the gauntlet in November, by the way. They play 3 or 4 teams in a row, if I can recall off the top of my head. Do you have it right there? That I go, uh-oh. Man,
here's November.
Yeah, they now if you want to complain about something, that is something to complain about.
At Kansas City, host Denver. Those are both Sunday games. Kansas City's Sunday night game. So it's at Kansas City Sunday night. The next week, Denver at noon here. Thursday, you got to go to Green Bay. And then you finish November at home at noon against Cincinnati Bengals, defending AFC champs.
If they could go 3-1 in that skid, and which I think is possible. And everybody's doubting the Chiefs and because of Tyreek Hill. Because of Tyreek Hill. Yeah. They just don't. No, guess what? There's never going to be another Tyreek Hill. Sorry. So they're like, there may not be the same. No. I was with Andy Reid, and I can name off the receivers we had.
Right.
We went to the NFC Championship, and none of them. One was older up in years, Antonio Freeman.
Yep.
Went from Green Bay, naturally. He still has some in the tank. We had Todd Pinkston. We had Mitchell, the loudmouth from UCLA.
Fast Freddie.
Mm-hmm, Freddie Mitchell. I feel like I'm telling James Thrash. Am I naming anybody this? And guess what? We threw it around the yard.
Who was the tight end?
He was really good from BYU. I can't even think of his name. Chad Lewis.
Now, I remember now that's the guy. Okay, that's the guy.
Yeah, he was definitely he was an elite player.
Yeah, he was, big, strong.
And then we had, Deuce Staley, Brian Westbrook, Dorsey Levens, and Buck Halter.
Who was also a really good player.
He got injured, so he wasn't out there very much. So they had, So, and we didn't run the ball a lot. Andy Reid likes to throw the ball. That's never going to change. even if it was a 5-yard passing route. So he used all those guys, and none of that scares you, does it?
No.
But Chad Lewis, I mean, he was an NFC Pro Bowl.
He'd get after you. But
That was
like
it.
you said,
I may
Freeman
be
was
forgetting one guy, but I mean, it was somebody who was just a solid player.
But like Freeman had been real good in Green Bay, but this was near the end of his career.
Right.
Todd Pinkston is the skinniest pro football player that I've ever seen.
And he, you know what? And he was a pretty solid athlete and tough, tougher than you thought. Because I told you we had practice really hard. I hit him a couple times. I'm gonna break this guy. There's no way. I never. That he was a stick. I mean, and he'd get up and be like, "Hey man, good job, man." That's it. He was durable. And when you see him, you go, durable is not part of the equation.
Yeah, he played a while now.
He probably was 6'3" and 170.
Yeah.
Like he and it's almost like he couldn't put on weight.
Yeah. Boy, what a great problem that would be to have. And then Freddie Mitchell, who you mentioned, he was one of the most hyped players to not have really. He had the one catch in the one game at some point.
I think it was against Green Bay in the
Remember,
NFC Championship.
like one really great play, and that was it. That was the whole. That was.
He would show a glimpse of.
Was he slow?
Yes, he
okay.
was. Yeah,
Did he have a size and speed ratio issue?
You know, what's funny because he was like a first or second. He was a first round pick.
He was a really early pick.
And I was like,
people were saying that guy was going to be a superstar. Like you said, he was mouthy. He was like big talker, receiver.
He was very confident in his ability. I got to give him that. He never changed that, and he became just a solid receiver. He never lived up to the first round billing. So yeah. So I think the Chiefs still going to be the Chiefs. I think it's actually going to make them better. Because I think Tariq Hill's in Mahomes' head saying, "Give me the ball."
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So then everybody's going to focus on Kelsey. They're going to double him, and I think the other receivers that they implement, which Juju Schuster, they got the Hardman guy. They drafted another guy. They got the other guy, Sandler. I forgot the guy's name.
Remember they got the guy from Clemson, Ross, who'd had the spinal issue,
and that guy's a first-round talent
who nobody would touch, and they're like, yeah, okay,
and they'll do things like that.
And he was a first-round talent.
Yeah, no
just had spinal issues.
Yep.
So he must have passed their physicals. All I can figure out.
Yeah, I remember their trainer, Rick, I think his name is Boak Halter. Not Buck Halter. But,
okay.
Yeah, and he brought him from Philly to Kansas City. He brings the same people. Yeah, when we played the Chiefs, the whole staff, the training staff.
All those dudes, you knew them all.
Yeah. I'm over at the hotel meeting with Spags because he's the DC.
Spagnuolo,
who was my safeties coach. Yeah.
Well, he does keep the band together.
Yeah. Yeah. So they know how to not have a stud, like one individual stud, and still can get things done. And I think because Mahomes is so talented, I think that's going to make him better because I think he sometimes tries to rely on, I'm going to this guy, instead of kind of going through his progression, let the offense kind of dictate where he goes with the ball, initially, and then the defense kind of telling you where you're going with it, instead of forcing things to elite players, because that does happen.
Well, sure.
Aaron Rodgers does it all the time. Yeah.
Well, luckily for him, he's out of the elite player business because that guy's in Las Vegas now. He's going to throw to regular players.
Yeah. What do you think? The AFC West, do you think, where, are they going to go 3-1, 2-2? I don't care where they're playing them at. We're talking about the Raiders, the Chargers.
Yeah, the Titans have all. If you don't know, the Titans have that entire division this year. They have to play all of them.
Because I would say they are middle of the road. Just kind of right. The Chargers is going to be better. The Raiders made the playoffs. Let's not forget.
If the Chargers coach can get his head out of his hind end, then they'll be better. If he just stops going for it on fourth down at stupid times and things like that.
Well, he follows analytics. They were talking about that.
I know.
And he lives by it, though. Now, and I think
he died by it last year.
Right. Well, I think it plays a part, but it can't dictate every time what you're doing. The human element is there, and you have to see the situation. That's the part, where you're at and how to make those decisions. I think Vrabel figured that out his first year, and I think that's why he's done so much better job of making those calls on fourth down, whether to go for it or not. Sometimes it's just gut.
Right.
Hey, man, we can't go for it right here.
Right.
No, I'm going for it. This is the time.
That's one of those things that probably helps a guy like Andy Reid because everybody in the room has been in a room with you for 20 plus years and you're like, let's go for it. And somebody on the headset's going to go, no, Andy, don't go. You have people who you trust and they trust you for that back and forth when you keep the same staff together.
Well, let me get it correct. They won't say no. Don't go for it. They say, hey, let's think about this.
Okay.
Because you can't ever forget the head
He's
coach.
the head coach.
Head coach. So
Yeah.
you got to approach it differently. I don't think anybody on Vrabel's staff, I think he listens to one person and then he moves forward with his decision. Now, whether he decides to do what they tell him, or recommend, or what the odds or the percentages
Right.
are, then he makes his decision. I think that's what goes on with Vrabel. If I was making a guess, I think Vrabel's the type is he's making the final call. There's not a lot of input. Have somebody else doing this, and then I'm going to make the field based off where we're at in this game.
Like go for 2 in the playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you did not like that call.
I'm never going to go for 2
And I
until
told
it's
you
the
I
end
didn't
of the
mind.
game.
I
know
did
you,
not mind it. I
and
did
you,
not
and
mind
you said at the time, like, I don't mind this call. I don't mind this call.
I did
And
not.
Because
I thought he was trying to bury him and trying to really look down the road. But naturally, hindsight's 2020.
I know.
You look back and you say, man, we didn't go for it here. We just kicked the extra point. We go into overtime.
And you can tell, and Lucas would tell you, like, in the room at the time, I was like, I don't like this. I don't like going.
No, you were consistent with it.
I don't want to go for 2 until there's like less than 5 minutes left in the game and I have to.
Yeah.
Because it just bites you in the fanny. It seems like more time than not.
Yeah. You would be my guy that you're talking to me if I'm the head coach.
I'd be like, I'm not going to tell you no, Blaine, but let's think about this.
No, because that wouldn't bother me. A lot of these coaches, they get so egotistical.
Well,
I just would be like, hey, I want you to be direct. Hey, we shouldn't go for it here. And if I decide to go, it's on me. So when we're in the meeting, I'm like, you told me. We went for it. We didn't get it. And see, that's where I'm comfortable in my own skin if I was the head coach. And then you just got to go up there and bite the bullet when you go up there and talk to the media. That's how you have to be. But a lot of them get, tweaked and they don't want any negativity because it starts turning into something else.
Yeah.
Like, we should let him go. See, that's why they get scared. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the money anyway.
Right, you do now.
So it doesn't matter.
Just don't, put money in a fast food sack and you should be fine. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come back. We're going to continue some scheduled talk. Jerry Newheisel, who was Kyle Phillips, the new receiver, the 5th-round pick out of UCLA, his position coach, and his dad is Rick Neuheisel. So long time ties to UCLA. They both played there. They both played quarterback there. They both coached there. But Jerry Newheisel is a receivers coach. He's going to join us in hour 2. We will also call our shot in hour number 2. But we'll continue some schedule discussion next. Rookie minicamp. Players are literally on the field at this point. So we hope to have some sound, hopefully from some of the rookies before the end of the show today. You don't want to miss any of it. It is the Friday edition, and we are off and rolling on Blaine and Mickey. 104.5 The Zone. You gotta wait till the red light comes on.
Uh-oh.
You playing a little Robert Palmer here?
There you go. You know the year?
Woo!
Year.
I swear.
This is Robert Palmer?
There are two versions of this song. Now, that may be wrong. But the bass line sounds different on one of the. I don't know. I've always thought that. There's a handful of songs that I think there are two versions of. It could just be a remastered version. I know Steve Gorman is a big sports guy in town. I swear there's a remastered version of a Black Crowes song of Hard to Handle, which was a cover, but a big hit for them, where you can hear every note the bass plays, and you couldn't hear it the original version. So oh man, I know. That's one of those songs where it's like it seems like it's always been on the radio my whole life.
What 2 years are you thinking about? I know you cut it down to 2.
I feel like I should just like split the difference and say like 1980.
Close, 79.
Dang it!
Well, I wanted you to give me 2, and I was going to tell you which one to go with, which would have been wrong probably because I have no idea.
Alonzo was saying he can't hear me, and so is everyone is saying they can't hear me. So maybe they missed that. I missed it by a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's excellent.
And you asked for 2 years. I would have said 79 or 80. So then I could have even sounded like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Next time you ask for 2, I'm giving you 2. You gave me a way out, basically, an escape hatch there.
I was trying to help
and
you
I
out,
just
man.
kicked it closed. Yeah. Schedule released last night. No one seemed super upset about it, which is odd.
But we were going through that November stuff there.
Now, November is somebody called it a murderer's row in the Zone TV chat, and it is.
I ain't like that.
So, open New York Giants at home on September 11th. That's a 3:25 game. You remember the years when the Titans were bad and we would get the schedule, and I'm talking bad, and it would be like noon.
You must be talking about like Wisdom Hunt time?
Yes. Thursday night against the Jags to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Mm-hmm. Noon. And then they inevitably they'd have to go to Seattle or somewhere, and that game would be at 3 o'clock our time. And that's it. Then it'd be a bunch of noons. There's a lot of 3s, and there's 4 primetime games, which you predicted correctly. I thought it was going to land at 3. Nope, it's 4. And they still have
Don't give me that crap 3.5.
Well, I set the over-under at 3.5, meaning you have to pick 3 or 4.
Like we were in Vegas.
Well, I'm trying to be more like DeZanti, Mr. Vegas, or Alan
I
Bell.
don't know nothing about how is a game split in half.
Yeah, but you do that so they have to pick one or the other.
I know that. I know.
Because my extreme knowledge of Vegas.
Right, but we're not doing that.
Oh, heck no.
You act like we was in Vegas.
Well, I just wanted to sound smart for once, like one of the sharps. That's another Vegas term. I learned that from Todd Furman. So they go to Buffalo the second week of the season. Buffalo is a lot of people's.
I am scared of Buffalo.
Buffalo is a lot of people's Super Bowl pick. Well, if you're Buffalo, the Patriots haven't really been the total Patriots lately. So you're not having to contend with Tom Brady anymore. The Jets are still the Jets. The Dolphins, who knows from year to year what you're going to get. Buffalo just seems like they've got always an opportunity to be pretty good just based on their division's not so good. Really, same deal as the Titans right now. Those other teams have been down. I know anybody can beat anybody, but, I mean, you should be able to do some work against those guys. The most interesting thing to me is, and you brought this up in the first segment, like there are people who are counting out the Chiefs over Tyreek Hill. You know Andy Reid personally, so you're like, y'all need to get it together. It's not like they still don't have Travis Kelce and a whole bunch of talented people. The one thing that's interesting to me about the Chiefs is, though, it's just they have 2 games against the Chargers. They have 2 games against the Raiders, who always give them fits, and they have 2 games against the Broncos, who now have Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. I wonder how much that division will, what's the word, maybe cannibalize, beat each other up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And people have predicting, I'm losing my voice, are predicting that they or all 4 teams are going to make it into the playoffs.
It's not going to happen.
I was like, no, did you see what just happened last year with the Chargers and the Raiders going into overtime? And both of them would have got in. The Raiders were going to let them tie. And then they said, all right, they were messing around and blitzing and all doing this crazy stuff. So they said, okay, well, we're going to come after you then. And they beat them. And so that would have been 3 teams in by then? Yeah, because Chiefs. But they only got 2.
Yeah.
And the Broncos won, 6 games? I'm guessing here. But I don't think they were in the hunt. So, yeah, I just don't think 4 teams are going to make it in. I still think Denver's going to be on the outside. As much as I like Russell Wilson, in his first year, I just think he's about 2 more win type team. I mean, 8-9 or maybe 9-8 or whatever the record is. For 7
Denver won. They were 7-10 last year.
7-10. So
Chargers finished 9-8. Vegas 10-7, 12-5 for the Chiefs.
And then they have some receiver issues. One getting in and out of jail for bond, and then I don't understand that whole situation. As well as the Hamler kid from Penn State a couple years ago, the small kid is coming off ACL and hip surgery or something, scope or something.
The little people and surgery, lower body.
Mm-hmm. So it's going. How explosive is he going to be? And that was really his ticket. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to watch and see how much Russell Wilson kind of is running the offense, or is he kind of running their version of what the Broncos want to run?
Is it a promo for the install with Greg Cosell and Buck, where Cosell says late in his career when Peyton Manning went to Denver, they just ran his offense? Like when Russell Wilson now goes to Denver late in his career, do they just be like, well, this is what we – how much of it do you say, look at this and tell us what you like, and then put your stamp on it to a guy like him?
Well, I don't know if I'm like most coaches, but I would be. We're going to run. That would have been an agreement before I signed.
Okay.
And that he can run his offense, and we'll assist him. Make recommendations. I don't want you just to ignore the offensive coordinator. I mean, he's here too, so he may have some things he likes to implement, and y'all kind of figure out some of the things you like what he does, and we're going to do mostly the basis of what you like to do. Mm. Yeah, that's how you get. That should have been already done. But Peyton Manning's always run his offense everywhere he was at. I don't know if he could have taken and run somebody else's offense. I don't think it would have worked out for his career.
Sure.
Yeah, because most of those guys who are successful, they're super stubborn. And he knows what's going to work, and it's the way I do it, and it's not going to change until I change it. Yeah, and to be honest, that's how it should be with elite players. I don't think with Elway, with Marino, you go down the list. Tom Brady, guess what? I think that's why there was starting to be an issue. He was like, you're not getting me receivers. We keep running this dink and dunk. Now they're up saying that I can't throw the ball deep because of what we have here. It's not because of my arm.
Oh, no, they deathed you by 1,000 paper cuts.
Right. I mean, then when I saw him throw deep, and I kept on saying, this national people that keep saying this are not watching the film.
No.
He can throw deep.
Yes.
I kept saying it over and over.
When you got Mike Williams and a coach who's literally like, throw it deep as many times. Bruce Arians.
Right.
Mr. Throw it deep. Absolutely throw it deep.
Yeah. Now, I said, but remember what I said back then? I said, but Drew Brees' arm, it looks different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could see that he was losing some juice. But nobody was really talking about that. They were all over Tom Brady because they were already trying to fabricate why the Patriots let him go. People need to do their homework and go watch. All you have to do is watch the film. It wasn't that hard.
Just looking for an excuse to sound smart, Oh, he's lost his arm.
But that came from the Patriots, so somebody leaked that out.
Right. That's why we're getting
rid of it. So whenever you start hearing stuff, that always rubs me the wrong way, and I have an eyebrow up like, oh, okay, let me look and see if that's true. So I went back and watched every single game. I said, I don't know who heck made this crap up.
Let me ask you this, because I think this is a great question. Whoever's playing the Broncos week 1, let's say your career is right now, you're safety for the Titans, you and Byard and Malik Hooker, you guys are 3 safeties.
Oh, I wish I was.
And think about the fun you could have.
Oh, man.
But it's like, okay, we have the Broncos with Russell Wilson. Do you just go back and watch his film from Seattle? Do you watch some Denver film from last year?
This is exactly my point.
Yeah.
About the first game.
Against Daboll and the Giants.
Right.
What are you going to watch?
Right. And I'm going to watch Daboll's offense because what do I always say? The offense follows the coordinators.
Right.
Right. So here's what I would do in that situation, what you're talking about with the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go back and watch Seattle, and I'm going to figure out, you know what? Most of these things he doesn't like because he's kind of changed coordinators like 3 different times there in Seattle. So then I would think about who is the coordinator and go back and look at my notes as who's actually coaching him now and look like what they ran. So I would be probably in the middle. So I would have to play everything honest in this game if I was playing the Denver Broncos because I don't know what way they're going. And I don't even know what I could say. I could say I played Russell Wilson, but I can't say those are the things that he liked to do because he never ran really his offense. He's never had that option. I think that was his issue, and that's why you started to hear the grumblings that he wanted to leave.
Right.
Is because of that.
Okay,
at least according to the people I talked to.
Okay, this is super interesting what you said. And explain this to people because you said, I'm going to play it straight up. I'm going to play it honest. Does that go to if you play a team over and over, like let's say during your career you played the Jaguars and you knew Mark Brunell and you knew Jimmy Smith and you Keenan McCardell, so there were certain little things you knew like, well, I'm going to leave this guy and I'm going to go jump over here.
Right, and make a play that maybe I probably had no business being a part of, yeah.
But in a situation where you're like, I just don't know, you're going to play it straight.
I'm going to just read my keys and play everything honest.
Okay.
I'm going to still play fast, and then as the game goes along, we start, watching video on the sidelines, I'm going to start figuring out how they're playing to attack us. Mm-hmm.
How much did you like that part of
I love it.
Oh, my gosh.
I loved it. I loved it. I love playing that cat and mouse because it was just like playing chess. Because, I was pissed because Peyton Manning was looking at my feet and he knew what I was going to do. I was like, I went back and watched film of the whole entire season. And like, where is this guy? I'm seeing something that I can't see. And what I really figured out is that I would be leaning. That was it. My body. I just leaned forward. That lets him know I'm coming down. And it wasn't like 10 out of 10. It was more like 6 out of 10 times.
And he figured that out from watching film of you.
Mm-hmm. So what I did in game, I switched my feet. I switched what leg I put up and back because that wouldn't make me lean. Because I saw him. Because every time he came out, he looked dead at me.
Would you make, like over the course of the game, he's at the line of scrimmage, you're back there trying to get, would you make eye contact with him?
Yeah.
Would that ever happen?
Oh, absolutely.
And what was that like, him looking at you and you looking at him?
Yeah, well, that's how I knew then he knew what I was doing. Because he'd laugh.
Oh, no. He wouldn't laugh.
Yeah, he'd laugh. I got you. I said, oh, okay. So then when I was about to blitz, I'd come, start easing down, creeping down. And so then I did something that I don't normally do. I just lined up there on the line outside like I was a pass rusher.
Oh.
Guess what my responsibilities were? Deep middle. Oh, you hadn't seen that in film.
But
yeah, you hadn't seen that in film because I never showed it. And then that's when all I needed was to tweak him. Then now he couldn't rely on what he saw on film on me.
Okay.
And so now I'm playing with his head. Now I'm the winner of the chess, and he's playing checkers. Mm-hmm. I'm playing chess. Yeah, but at the beginning, he was playing chess. Yeah. And these are the little things that go on throughout a game.
I love it.
It's pretty awesome. That you really, get to lean on and, man, you can really mess it. So then when I did that, guess what he did? When I was lined up on line, he checked to a run play away from me.
Right.
Well, guess where the coverage was rolling to? Right where he checked it. I ran to the middle. Marcus comes to the deep end. He ran right, and Marcus goes unblocked. That's how you get him.
Gotcha.
And then I'm laughing in the huddle. Hey, man, well, that was sweet, wasn't it? Marcus said, hey, man, do that every time.
This is as inside as you're going to get right here, folks. This is the real stuff. Burrow Ben in the Zone TV chat is saying, I have no idea what you're talking about. Mickey, you already counting out the Colts in the division. They have added quality players in the offseason while the Titans may have gotten worse. I've never even thought that.
Right. Where did he get that from?
He's listening to something else. Hey, Burrow Ben, dude. You are on a whole different planet right now, man. I've never said anything like that.
Well, I'm predicting the Titans go 10-7. I don't even know what the Colts schedule is. I haven't looked at theirs yet, but I would assume that they will be in for the competition. And I've said this, I've loved their free agent signings, and I like their draft pick.
Every year I like their draft.
I'm like, man, it's only because I think I know their names of all their players and kind of seen them play in college to some degree. So I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a real interesting one.
Well, and it's weird, and you mentioned this as far as your observation. And again, Burrow Ben, I never have even thought that. Dude, you're on to something here, or on something with that. I don't know, but the Titans and the Colts play both of their games again October 23rd.
Early.
That's it.
Yeah,
and last year, remember, Wentz was kind of banged up. They had some other guys banged up. It's like, hey, man, this isn't a bad thing to get those guys early. But this year, it's the same deal.
I don't know why. They made a boo-boo.
Week 4
NFL.
And week 8? Week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, week 7. The Titans have, you mentioned the bye week. That's the earliest bye week in the NFL. And remember, they had the second to last bye week last year. They were at the very end of the season.
They have the earliest bye week?
I looked.
Week 6 is the earliest?
It's the earliest bye week in the league this season. It's the earliest you could get a bye week.
That?
Don't know. It's the earliest bye week. I looked this morning.
Well, they got nuts and bolts right there then. Yeah, I told you I didn't like the bye week at 6. I'm a 9, 10 guy. Early in the season, you can fight through, injuries and fatigue and, burnout and all those things and mental fatigue. But later in the season, it's tougher. It's tough. When it got to 10, and I'm in a 16-game season, I was like, oh, man, I need a mental break. Because I would just burn myself tonight.
Could you turn that off, though, for however many days that you would be away?
Well, no. While I'm burning the engine all day long, that's all I needed to do. I just needed to turn it off half a day.
Oh.
Yeah, see? Yeah, that you're mentally just exhausting yourself. For me, because that was part of my game.
But like some guys might go to.
A lot of guys didn't even watch film besides when we was in the meeting room with the coaches.
But I'm saying like some dude might be like, okay, this is our bye week. I'm going to the Bahamas.
Oh, on the bye week, I'm assessing myself. So I'm going back and watching all the games and looking at me and am I doing my responsibilities? Am I giving any tips and those things?
Could you, like 2 days or something, sneak away and just not think about it? Maybe you run or get on a treadmill or something. But
I would probably take 2 days to do review.
Yep.
And then I'm not thinking about ball necessarily. And I mean, it's still always in the back of my head. But I could be on vacation and not be watching film or ball or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was fine. I may watch it on TV and watch a team that we may play in a couple of weeks or something, just to get a little early scouting report in my mind.
This stood out to me, and I thought this was so odd. And I know we're Music City. We get a lot of concerts and stuff here. They don't have 2 games in a row at home until December 24th and 29th. The Titans do not play 2 games in a row at home until the end of the season.
Ooh, last year did they play 2 times, 3 times in a row? No. What was it?
I think they did at least once because we were like, dang, it's the same old, we're in a routine here.
They were going to make sure that wasn't happening again.
They don't play 2 games in a row at home. Now, that's the one thing I'm thinking.
That'd be different.
Now, that's in an airplane, and that's traveling in a hotel bed, and hotel beds aren't made for football players because they're giant people, and I mean, I don't like sleeping in a hotel bed. I can't imagine being 327 pounds.
I know as fans, they really don't care about that, but that's a part of the equation. And then how far are you actually flying? I know they go out to Los Angeles one time for sure. They play the Chargers, right?
They're at L.A. Chargers. They got to fly to Buffalo. They got to – Indy's not bad.
Not that far.
Washington. Got to go to H-Town. Kansas City's not too bad. Green Bay's not terrible. Got to go to Philly. L.A. Chargers is the longest. This looks like.
That's all those trips seem sharp besides the Chargers.
No Seattle, which would be an awful thing to have to go do.
Most of those are 2.5-hour flights. That was like, okay, this is good, especially if you get nicked up and things just kind of swell up on the plane. You're wearing a sleeve on your knee or ankle or elbow.
Sleeves on everything right now.
Yeah, just trying to make sure it contains the swelling because that then limits your mobility. So once that happens,
Kenneth's got a question for you or a comment. Kenneth in Franklin next on Blaine and Mickey on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Kenneth, what you got for the Hitman?
Hey, I want to make a suggestion that he needs to write a book about all these old stories that he comes out with, reading the quarterback, seeing what they're doing, some of the anecdotes from the locker room, because I was in college, and I know there's a lot of anecdotes that go on in the locker room.
Yeah, man. That's why you listen to the show, Kenneth. We get into lots of this stuff. You get all the inside Titans stuff and Oilers here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I give like insight about the ball, but not like what was going on in there, like in the locker room. I mean, there was some some battles in there amongst own teammates even at times. Yeah. Yeah, that was always kind of shit that probably never was told. But I'll go to the grave with those.
But that kind of thing, like people go to practice and they'll go, 2 guys were fighting today. Well, of course they're fighting. It's hot. And they're against each other every day. So I always laugh when people get worked up. You watch Sports Center and they'll say the Colts were fighting today in practice. Well, of course they're fighting. They're competitive. It's hot. They're fighting each other, trying to make a living here.
Yeah. It got to, since we had a veteran team when we were the Titans, it was more pushing and shoving. Never really got it because everybody knew it's exhausting.
Yep.
And you're going to be tired, and then you're going to want to come out the next play. If you're going to sit here, why are we going through all this run around?
Sure.
I'm going to push you, you push me back, and I'm going back to the huddle. Man.
Let's call it a
You
game.
know what you did, and I know what I did.
And smart players don't punch each other because you'll break your hand hitting a helmet. Vets would know that.
Yeah. If I was getting to that point, I just run to the sideline.
That's the advice you gave to Lawan.
Yeah.
Hey, man, just go away from it.
Just run.
Go sit at, remember you said go sit at midfield?
Yeah, he
and
did.
What, like a week later in the game, he went and set his big butt at midfield.
Just
he
run.
listened to you.
Yeah, I don't know if he was listening to me. And another thing is with that too, you're supposed to protect each other.
Yep.
So, at some point in time, somebody else is going to get heated. And so you're supposed to protect him, and I'm supposed to protect you. Grab him and pull him away, give him in a lock hold, and say, let's go back. And let's have a conversation. Let's don't hurt the team, get a penalty. This was early in Lawan's career. I liked his aggressiveness. Let's just, you can't ever turn that up, but how about this? Let's don't hurt the team.
Right.
So find a way to hit him. Mawai was just like him to me. But except he was a little smarter. He would do it right at the whistle if you were standing around a pile.
Yep.
That was my scouting report on him. Like, hey, man, you stand around a pile, you may get depleted. Because he's come flying through there at the last minute. And they're going to say, well, the whistle was blown. He was already in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, he put some people in the air. We got to get in the air for this last segment. When we come back, I mentioned this Wednesday. I have a stat that the Titans have that they don't want to have. It's a stat that they don't want to have, that they got to fix. And how are they going to fix it? We got a poll question that might, well, I'll tie it all up next. How about that?
I only want one stat. Super Bowl champs.
Well, they got to fix this stat to get there. We'll be right back.
We couldn't get there.
Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. So the rookies are on the field right now. Should be done with practice pretty soon, and we hope to, I'll use an Arkansas term from my phone, harvest some audio. Yeah, we need to just have Buck call in a second day in a row.
Yeah, I see Lucas texting him right now.
I see Lucas laughing is what I see. Like, I should dream on, suckers.
Yeah, he's probably saying, I came on yesterday with you guys. We want an update. We're on a live update.
We need new information from Buck is what we need. Yeah. So come on now. Here's some new information. So I saw this a couple days ago, and on Wednesday, I'm like, we need to talk about this tomorrow, this stat. And then tomorrow came and went because tomorrow was yesterday. Tomorrow is, what is it? Yesterday is today's tomorrow? No, yes.
No, you asked the wrong person.
Yeah, no.
You need to ask those two young
Today is yesterday's tomorrow.
There, man.
That's right.
Today, both of them are laughing at you, Mickey.
Today is yesterday's tomorrow.
Grandpa, something like that.
Today is yesterday's tomorrow, boys.
Oh,
I need you to make the most of each day. Mm-hmm. The Titans got to make the most of this because this is an interesting stat to me. They have the largest percent of targets to replace in the NFL. They got the most targets on offense to replace. Now, I like to stump Lucas and Blaine, but Robert is by the microphone, so I'm stumping his butt. How much percent of their offensive targets? Oh, I can see the wheels turning. You're sweating.
Well, I mean,
I see sweat on his forehead.
He was in North Carolina. I mean,
Lucas, I know. That's why I love
Lucas should chime in here, too, if he could help you out.
You can have a lifeline of Lucas. What percent of targets did the Titans lose on offense?
Targets. So they
got to get a multiple choice here.
A.J. Brown and Julio. So what percentage were they? I would say.
But like Ferkser, Michael Pruitt.
Oh, that's right.
McNichols on the backfield.
Every target that they threw. Every target.
Oh.
They lost the most of anybody.
70%. I'm just making a guess. I have no idea. Where'd you say, Lucas? Or what you got?
I'm going to Price is Right you and go 72 and just go right on top of you.
Doom, 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 doom.
Lucas is holding up paper.
Like he knows
radio. Lucas is not a visual medium. He what?
Well, Lucas gets these kind of questions right all the time. He
beats
me.
It's like when you do a remote and Kirby doesn't have a microphone and is carrying on a conversation with you. Like anyone can hear what he says.
What'd you say, Lucas?
Lucas went with 53%.
Oh, I went 70. He said 72. When you go Ferkser, Pruitt, Julio, A.J. Brown, and McNichols still on team, isn't he? No. Man.
They threw some to
Foreman.
Mm-hmm. 66%. So Blaine got the closest.
Yes!
Yes. 66%.
I finally beat Lucas.
AJ and Julio were 153 targets, which was only 28.8% of Ryan Tannehill's attempts. This is the stat that blew my mind. In all, 14 of the players who had at least 2 targets last year are no longer with the team. They lost 351 total targets, 66%. So we're going to talk to Kyle Phillips, his receiver coach, in the next hour. That dude's going to get some targets, and Burks and all these cats. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods.
I had not thought about that. That's a great stat. That makes me really nervous.
Oh, it's a great stat
for the offense.
You're nervous.
Because offense is about timing, rhythm, and if you don't have familiarity, sometimes things are off the cuff. So they have to develop this kind of chemistry with Tannehill quickly. I mean, and when I say quickly, like, it's not just over here at the sports park here at St. Thomas. They have to go to Florida or wherever the heck they want to meet and get some work in with Tannehill on air. And that's not even talking about what people defended him. That's going to have to happen. Because when you have that much turnover, which should never, ever happen.
66%.
That's a lot for a quarterback. And this is why I'm glad. This is why Tannehill is upset at the organization. That's another caveat. Y'all said you're going to help me. Y'all just made it harder. Y'all made it harder for me. Guarantee you Peyton Manning would have went over and stomped on a chair and threw a brick through the wall or something. Yeah, that would not have happened. That people want to act like, hey, Peyton Manning was a great player. There's a reason why he was great. That stuff like that was not happening. That was not happening. Tannehill's not happy. That's not good, man. Say offense, you can get away with that on defense. Guess what? See ball, go get ball. That's different. That has nothing to do with time rhythm. Learn your plays. The offense is a different mechanism. That is not that is a recipe for disaster for Tannehill if they don't get on the same page real quickly. And I won't be surprised if Swaim and the guys that he knows that and as well as NWI. Early in the season, they are getting more targets.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he's trying to
is the biggest winner in all
I'm
this.
sure this big old mammoth tight end that they got from Maryland.
Oh, Chig.
Yeah, I bet he's going to be one too because, man, you watch him you go, oh, man, this guy is talented.
He's fast.
He's fast. He got some wiggle. He got something to him. And I think the offense, I'm going to start watching Kelly, the new passing game coordinator. I think it's more too tight end-ish than anything else, but I'm going to go back and watch a little bit more. I just kind of filtered through a couple games, but yeah, they didn't look too good on offense. Things were looking bad there for the Texans, but so early in the season. So yeah, he's uncomfortable right now.
We're going to try to get Blaine comfortable in this break.
Get Tannehill comfortable.
That was CBS Sports and Titans Wire locally kind of putting all the numbers together. So I got that from those two. Appreciate
Great
that.
stat there.
Great stat from both of them. We have news from rookie minicamp, and it ain't good. And we're going to have it with you.
I'm a crap in my pants.
You should go ahead and head to the bathroom.
Okay,
We'll
bye.
be right back.
It is 2:02. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans rookie minicamp is officially underway. Select rookies are speaking to the media right now. Head coach Mike Vrabel will speak to the media shortly. Stay posted to Blaine and Mickey to hear from the rookies with a slight injury update from one of the Titans NFL draft picks coming up in just a couple of minutes. The Titans found out their 2022 schedule last night. It includes 4 primetime games. One of them is at home, Thursday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 17. Titans will be done with the Indianapolis Colts by Halloween. The bye week is early, coming on Week 6. Tonight, the Memphis Grizzlies will stave off elimination once again at the Golden State Warriors in Game 6, down 3-2 in the series. Still without John Morant. Tip-off is slated for 9 p.m. In the East, Celtics and Bucks tip-off at 6:30 from Milwaukee. The Bucks lead that series 3-2. 3 Stanley Cup playoff games tonight. The Penguins leading the Rangers 3-2. That's a 6 o'clock puck drop. And it's Panthers and Capitals at 6:30 as Washington looks to force a Game 7. And in the West, the Flames looking to eliminate the Stars at 8:30. Nashville Soccer Club back on the road this weekend at Houston Dynamo Saturday night. That's a 7:30 kickoff. NSC found out on Thursday its round of 16 opponent in the U.S. Open Cup, Louisville City FC on the road, May 25th. College baseball top-ranked Tennessee started its last home regular season series off with a 5-2 win over Georgia Thursday. Game 2 this afternoon, a 4:30 first pitch from Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Vanderbilt is at 4th-ranked Arkansas this weekend. Game 1 is tonight at 6:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Let's get straight to work here. We'll go to the podium. Malik Willis is speaking right now. But first, this from Ben Arthur of the Tennessean. Traylon Burks limited on first day of Titans rookie camp. The first rounder was laboring quite a bit early in individuals. He was later pulled. He had ice placed on his neck off to the side, returned for a few snaps in team period, then was taken inside the building.
Didn't he have an inhaler or something?
Now that I don't know. Let's hope it's just heat related and they got him cooled down. Everything's okay.
Is that what you told me, Lucas? Yeah, they can't hear your
About the inhaler?
Yeah. No.
As far as a reason to have an inhaler?
No. That he had one. He didn't mention it.
Oh, yeah. One of the reporters, I think John Glennon, I don't want to speak off the mark here, but one of the reporters over there said he did use an inhaler.
Okay.
That's all I was referring to.
Hope everything's okay. You just want everything to go smoothly the first day. Ice on his neck, pulled off to the side, returned for a few snaps. It was taken inside the building. It's a little hotter than it should be. Hopefully everything is cool with the first-round pick.
It was JG.
Meanwhile, here is the Titans' new quarterback pick, Malik Willis, at the podium. Let's hear from him live from rookie minicamp.
Yeah, they had us over there and just gave us a little bit of game and just what comes with this process. Just tell you keep your heads up and know that a lot of work took place in order for them to get where they're at. So that's what it's going to take for us as well.
You say Ryan had you over. Who else do you have over the house?
Yeah, all the offensive skill.
What was made Malik about Ryan's comment about not mentoring earlier?
What comment?
What's that?
What comment?
Ryan Tannehill. Okay.
Man.
What, did you take anything from that, or anything of significance, or what are your thoughts?
Oh man, we chopped it up. I mean, it was never anything negative. Ryan's a good dude, and he had us. Like I said, he had us over the house. Everything's cool, man.
I have a question for you. Just with, this first time seeing you in person, obviously for a lot of us, have you always had the body type of have you built that over the years? Or I'm just curious as to where that it all comes from.
He's saying that looks swole. I appreciate it.
I
mean, I just got to get a glory to God on that one. You pray like it's up to God. You work like it's up to you. And I just try to go out every day and try to get better, whether it's on the field or in the weight room, just any aspect of my life. So I'm going to give it to him every time.
Seems like he had a lot. Ever since you were drafted to learn the Titans offense, how much did you see the work you put in ahead of time pay off on the field today?
Shoot, I seen it a lot. I mean, I was a lot better than what I thought it was going to go like. You go through something for the first time, you don't know what to expect. And, everybody put their opinions out about what they think, but don't nobody know till you go through it. And I was just really, really appreciative of Coach Pat and Coach Todd and just preparing us in order to get out there and just go have fun and play the game that we love to play. I felt really good about it.
Looked like you did some work on progressions. How'd that go? How limited was that at Liberty compared to what we're told, and how much do you have to gain there?
I mean, I don't know what you were told, but I think, progressions are a part of quarterback play wherever you're at. So I just felt like you get to different ones at this level. And like I said, you with a new team and new people, so you just got to get used to it. So it's going to take work.
With this game being so based off of QB movement, like how much do you think that really will accentuate what you do well?
I don't know if it's based off QB movement. I think this is just the Titans offense, you know what I mean? That's just first day stuff. We got a whole offense, you know what I mean? We just running the Titans offense. We running what they install every day, and we go out there and practice what we do in the meeting room. That's all.
It seemed like you had a lot of questions for Pat along the way, too. How impatient, I guess, are you to sort of, learn this thing as quickly as possible?
I feel like I am patient in order to, very, very much prepare myself. I mean, without preparation, you never feel comfortable. You never feel like you're able to go do your best. I just want to take every day like this my last and just learn as much as I can, retain that information, and go out there and try to do it the next day.
Did you get a chance to say anything to Traylon? Seemed like he had a tough day and wasn't able to be out there much.
Yeah, it's all good. He good. That's my roommate, too, so I'm going to chop it up with him.
What do you like about his game and maybe how special it will be for you guys to kind of grow together, starting this weekend?
I think it's really cool that we got our whole rookie class out here, and it's just us for a minute, so we can all get used to Titans football, and whether that be on offense or defense. And I just feel like it's really cool that we all get to spend this time together and grow as players. We in these meeting rooms together, we're all growing, we all competing, but it's the first time for all of us, so I feel like that's really cool.
Coaches kind of told you about it on the first day. I know you want to make a good impression, but it's a long journey, and just kind of take your time. What have they told you about that?
Hey, we got 1% each day. That's all we're trying to get. 100 days, you'll be 100% better. That's what he told me, so it's all good. We're just going to work every day.
Kind of along those lines, Malik, what do you expect out of yourself as you kind of embark on this journey?
I just expect myself to come to work every day as long as God wake me up, you know what I mean? Just come out here and enjoy myself and try to be the best player I can be. And fight through the mistakes, fight through the successes. I mean, either way it goes, you got to stay calm, cool, and collected. I messed up right there.
Where'd you kind of learn the calm, cool, collected attitude? Because it's kind of how you come across, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, life, really. I mean, it's a game at the end of the day. I mean, it's a very important game to a lot of people, but it's a game at the end of the day. You go through way worse stuff in life, and you have to understand that. And you got to be able to be resilient as a person outside of football. So I feel like when it comes to football, you just got to be strong-minded and understand it's not your identity. And I feel like you're supposed to use this platform for something. Like, I use it for God. Other people use it for whatever charity they want to do. So at that, I don't know. That's how I feel about it. I don't know. My bad.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, they snuck the music in on you,
That
Lucas.
got quick. That was quick.
Malik Willis, this is from John Glennon. He said it was an up and down day for quarterback Malik Willis at rookie camp. He showed the arm strength many times, also threw high a few times and fumbled some snaps. He was only a shotgun guy at Liberty. And Blaine, this is what you mentioned, talking about Traylon Burks. This is from John Glennon, at Glennon Sports on Twitter. SI.com. He said, interesting day for Titans first-round pick Traylon Burks, who had to leave the field during the first individual drills. He looked gassed. He had been using an inhaler. He returned from the locker room for some snaps, but he later went back inside. So, sure, they're just, well, at this point, I mean, it's day one. They're monitoring everything. And, hey, man, I mean, not trying to make the Hall of Fame on day one, I guess.
Well, maybe he was, and that's why he needed an inhaler. Yeah. I can't say this. I'm not out there, but there are a lot of jitters and a lot of energy out there. And I'm sure that's why Willis threw the ball. I'm sure running routes, too fast, and then timing's off and all those things. But at the end of the day, maybe he leaves here saying, after a 3-day deal, and not a lot of receivers out there, I'm sure, you don't have the stable of a team out there. So you just got to kind of pace yourself and understand how this process works, and don't get too excited. But it's hard to will them back. It's hard. I can remember those days where I was going 100 miles a minute, man. Nothing was going to slow me down. I would have probably passed out there. I wouldn't even. My day, they wouldn't know. Haley, what? You tired? He's weak.
You didn't get a rookie minicamp either, did? They didn't do that then, right? You just jumped in with everybody, didn't you?
Right, but we did have minicamp, but it is with everybody.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was out there exhausting myself. When I was out there, I was going 100 miles an hour. So I can't imagine what these guys are going through. And it's just excitement, a lot of energy to, everything being new. But listen to Willis, man. He's kind of an intriguing guy that it seems like just mentally he's not a guy that's going to be rattled. He's going to be focused on what he needs to be doing, and that's it as far as a football player. It's not going to be his identity. That was great to hear that because a lot of players believe that's who they are, and that's what they do. So, hearing him say those things seems like he's really grounded and into his faith. And so that those things right there tell you a lot about who he is along the way, whether he gets money, have success, or if he doesn't make it, it's not going to be defining him who he is.
I know we've got Hassan Haskins at the podium, but I know we need to take a break. Do we need to just go ahead and take the break, get to okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take our break. One of the guys, I don't know if he's set to speak or not. We didn't get a list. If we did, I didn't see it. But one of the new Titans rookies is Kyle Phillips, a fifth rounder out of UCLA, the receiver. His position coach was Jerry Newheisel, son of Rick Newheisel. Jerry's going to join us next, so we'll get a little inside information on a guy who there are a whole lot of these, people who pick steals and stuff after the draft. They think this guy's going to have an opportunity to contribute very quickly to the Titans. So Jerry Newheisel next, the position coach in college of Titans rookie receiver Kyle Phillips. It's coming up next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone, should have Jerry Newhouse. We're going to have Robert Newhouse on, maybe, former Cowboys fullback from the 70s, Blaine's favorite player. Jerry Newheisel should be joining us here in just a second. I got the phone ringing right now towards West Los Angeles, California. Well, it'd just stink to live out there every day, I'm sure.
75 with a breeze.
Yeah, every day. That would get so old.
Man,
Who wants to live like that?
Man, I think they got like a pool on their campus and sands and pits and everything. They could just hang out like they're at the beach. We had to ask them that. That'd be pretty cool. I don't think I might have flunked out. I would have been going there every day thinking I'm going to study. I'm going to go study, relax.
Well, I mean, we can just go straight to the source.
Beach volleyball.
Jerry Newheisel joins us now, UCLA wide receivers coach, former quarterback, has been on the staff there for quite some time. So, Jerry, is it just hell to live out there in paradise every day with the breeze and the sand and everything?
It's dreadful. It's 83 degrees outside right now. A little bit of breeze off the ocean. We're only 5 miles away. So to be out here recruiting right now and not at the beach, it's really, really rough.
Oh, man.
And you take, guys there on a recruiting trip, and I'm sure they just hate it, especially if they're from, different parts of the world that don't exactly look like what West Hollywood.
Yeah, we found that most of the guys from, the Midwest, anything like that, where it's been a little bit colder, they seem to hate the beach. Or at least hate it enough that they don't want to leave when they get here. But
Jerry
it's an
Newheisel,
unbelievable place.
the UCLA wide receivers coach. All right, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions about this receiver, Kyle Phillips, because you coached him. But I have to ask you this first. You played pro football in Japan, is that right?
What?
I did.
I never heard of it, Jerry, till I was looking into you.
Well, it was an unbelievable experience. I'll tell you this. It was the first time I'd seen over the offensive line in a very long time.
I can't see over anybody. I'm excited for you.
What are you trying to say, that they were a little shorter than the linemen?
It's just a little bit different than it was here when I was here at UCLA. I think we were just blessed with a couple 6'8" tackles.
Oh, okay.
But it was an unbelievable experience. I think there's only 4 Americans per team. I played for the Obik Seagulls. It's actually really a company league. So, the Fujitsu Frontiers, Fujitsu has a team, Panasonic's got a team, and most of the players on the team, they actually work for the company Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday, Sunday, they bring all their kids to the practice, and we practice Saturday and Sunday. It's an unbelievable experience. And to be honest, it's probably the reason I got back and I wanted to get into coaching. To see their love for football and things like that, it made me want to come back and kind of get back to the game. It was an unbelievable experience living in Tokyo for a year.
So did you get to do football only, or were you also like 9 to 5 in it for this company, in a cubicle somewhere?
Well, the crazy part was I got hired out of college. I was the starting quarterback, the quarterback coach, and passing game coordinator. And at first I thought there was a language barrier, and I'm sitting here going, I'm like, wait. So you're going to let me play, coach myself, and call my own plays? And they said, yes. I said, where do I sign?
Oh, wow.
Done deal.
Japanese pro quarterback, Jerry Newheisel. He also happened to coach Titans draft pick Kyle Phillips. He joins us now on Blaine and Mickey.
Man, what a heck of an experience.
Love
man.
it.
It sounded like that was really fun. It made me think about, you said that's what led you to actually coaching. If you weren't coaching, what do you think you would be doing?
I don't know.
Because it's in the family, right? It's in the family. It was hard.
Well, the crazy part, when I was growing up, instead of getting like a bedtime story or anything like that, my dad would break out this old wooden board, and he'd get the 22 pieces out, and he made me have to design offense and play against him. And we do 2-minute drills. We do all that stuff since I was about 3 years old. I think there's a press conference where I actually named all the quarterbacks in the NFL at the Cotton Bowl when I was 4 years old. So I think I had no choice in the matter. I was always going to get somewhere in football.
Oh, man, no doubt about it. That sounds like it. I guess outside of your dad, like, growing up, as your dad is the head coach, who would you say you kind of looked to or was a somewhat of a mentor outside of your father?
Well, I think I've been really lucky to have 2 really good ones. Noel Mazzoni, who I played for here, who actually ended up hiring me at Texas A&M as my first coaching job, has always been like a football dad to me. And, being able to work for him and being able to coach under him has been an unbelievable experience. And then at A&M, I got to meet Coach Kelly, and to be honest, I would go to the ends of the earth to keep working for him because he's an unbelievable mentor and a boss and somebody that I truly look up to. And so to be here with him and to be able to sit in these meetings and, learn offense from him, it's been an unbelievable experience and one that, I'm truly appreciative of every day.
Man, I'm sure everybody tells you this, but you actually even sound somewhat like your dad.
Well, that's his fault. We moved. I have enough friends. I spent way too much time with my dad.
Oh man! All right, before we get into Kyle Phillips, give us your fondest memory as a Bruin playing there. Because I was watching some highlights, I was like, "Oh man, I saw you go against Texas." So I don't know
beat
if
those
guys.
Well, I'm glad you watched it. That's the only game I got to start. So you can stop after that one.
That was it.
You're player of the week, man.
I'm glad. I was 1 for 1. I'm like the one-hit wonder of UCLA football.
Hey, man.
But it was an awesome game. Actually, my brother 2 years before that game had this idea I was going to play in it, and ideally, Brett Hundley was going to leave for the NFL after he killed Virginia Tech at the Sun Bowl, but he comes back, and I end up having 40 family members at the game in Texas, and got a chance to get carried off the field by my teammates in Jerry's world, and the rest was history. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life.
Man, that was pretty awesome, man. You had a heck of a day. You said, "Yep, I should have always been the starter."
Yeah,
that's what you really said. I know what was happening. Now on to Kyle Phillips. We're on with Jerry Newheisel, wide receiver coach at UCLA, and I'm gonna ask you kind of a broad question here, just in coaching wide receivers in general, not necessarily Kyle Phillips, but what is the hardest transition for them to learn from high school to college?
Well, I think it has to do with the understanding of a defense. I think when you're in high school, you're used to being the man and you can kind of go out there, run any route you want, and you're open. Well, when you get to college and everyone's more athletic, well, now you got to understand the coverage. You got to understand leverage. You got to understand how your route works and really understand depth and timing. And I think that whole understanding of it can take you from being a good receiver to a great receiver. And it's something that, Kyle really bought into, and I think it's one of the things that made him a first-team All-Pac-12 receiver last year.
Well, kind of go into depth a little bit. Kind of take us through, so with the fans and even personally from the media perspective, what to expect from him. What makes him so special in his own right?
He is a true football player. If you have a chance to, and you can go back and watch his highlights, you can actually pause it. And anytime you watch him, he's always equidistant between everybody he's playing against. In zone, we're always trying to tell him to find the fat of the defense, trying to find the open space. And every time you pause it, he's exactly where he's supposed to be. His understanding of coverage, his understanding of creating separation at the top of the route. There's a route against LSU, against Derek Stingley, who was a first-round pick, where he left him in his dust, then it decided to break a tackle on a spin move and score a touchdown against him on a big upset in the Rose Bowl. But he is a really, really special player, and what you can expect from him is a dynamic returner and somebody who will always be open when he needs to be open. He was a huge third down threat for us, and he always knew how to create separation and create space, and he'll be a guy who will die for the Titans and will go out and make plays for you.
What about the return game now? I seen him return a couple kids. I saw actually one of them live.
Well, I can't take any credit for that. That's all Coach Foster here. I'm not nearly fast enough to be a return coach. But he's got a natural feel for space, and he's got a natural feel to get north and south with the football. And I think that's the hardest part about being a returner. Most of them want to go left and right, and they're looking for open space. He feels vertical seams. And so his ability to get north and south and create missed tackles, it's really separated him over the past couple of years here in the conference.
We're on with wide receiver coach from UCLA of Kyle Phillips, former, Kyle Phillips, Jerry Newheisel.
So, Jerry, he did lead Pac-12. He led Pac-12 receivers. He had 10 touchdown catches last year. He's got nose for the end zone, one of the all-time touchdown catchers at UCLA, and there's been some fantastic receivers who's come out of there. That really sounds like some fantastic coaching on your part there.
I wish I could take any credit. I think that has more to do with Coach Kelly's play calling and putting in the right position and him understanding coverage. But I think the one thing about the red zone, his nose for the end zone, has to be his ability to create separation at the top of a route. He has the ability to freeze a defender and run away from him. And there's not a lot of guys who can do it. There's fast, and then there's football fast. And to me, he is the perfect example of football fast and always be having a nose for the football and being able to make plays.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this because when they drafted him, people tweet about stuff, and they were like, "Oh, his 40 time didn't look good." He's one of those dudes, though. Don't judge him by 40 time, right? That's not an eye popping thing you're going to get with him. Just watch the tape.
Well, I think 40 times are great, but I think if the guys are making plays a game and they're making plays against guys that, you're looking at their other 40 times and he's running away from them, well, then that might not be the best metric to measure his speed. We measure it on miles per hour with our GPS systems and things like that. And he's run over 22 miles per hour in games for us. So I think in terms of game speed, he'll always have enough gas in the tank. And I think he'll end up making the team really, really happy, and I'm glad he ended up with the Titans.
Yeah, I think Titans fans are too. And it seems like he's the guy who, all these guys who scout and talk about the draft and players making immediate impact. Jerry, he seems like a guy that a lot of football people think he could immediately come in, even at a hard position in the NFL, and contribute immediately just because of his skill set.
Well, I think so, and I think the one thing that he also knows is he's got to put in the work. I think success at that level is a byproduct of all the work you're going to put in the off season. And so I know he's ready to come in there and work and learn the offense, and he'll probably be the last one to leave and the first one to show up. So that's the part of him that I know will lead to success up there, and that's why I know that he will have tremendous success route running, return game wise, whatever they need him to do, because he'll be a true team player for them.
We've got 2014 Pac-12 Player of the Week against Texas, Jerry Newheisel, who now coaches receivers there for UCLA. He joins us now. We're talking about Kyle Phillips.
That was just one of the few times that he did.
Well, he didn't want to show off too much.
I appreciate you that, because that was the only time. I won more academic awards here than football awards.
Hey, student athlete, don't forget that.
Student comes first.
Yes, it does, sir.
Always, especially there at the poolside in the sand there on UCLA's campus, right?
Well, it's just a great place to get your studying done.
That's exactly what I said.
It's been a great place to study for tests.
Except I probably wouldn't have been around too long. We're with Jerry Newheisel, wide receiver coach for UCLA. I guess, what would you compare Kyle Phillips' skill set to that's actually in the league, if you can kind of go that far? I know you're not, watching a lot of NFL football, but, you can kind of mirror and see he could potentially be somewhat like this player.
I guess because he's back in the league now, we can say he's a lot like Julian Edelman. That whole Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, things like that, where you're a true slot receiver who can go in and create separation with option routes. And, a lot of what we do here is a lot based off what Coach Kelly was running in the NFL. So the option route game, things like that, he's had 3 to 4 years of experience running it. So I think that won't be a major jump for him. And I think it'll be something that he can excel at right away when he gets up there. And just as long as he learns the offense and puts in the work, I think he'll have an immediate impact.
Two-part question. You kind of talked about it a little bit, but give us examples of his work ethic and then his personality.
Well, personality-wise, he's a true California kid. Okay. He grew up at the beach, things like that. He's got an unbelievable love for life, things like that. But he also wants to work. He's not afraid when his back's against the wall to come out swinging. So he's one of those kids that, push comes to shove and it's a third down. He's also not afraid to go mix it up and go block. There's a lot of clips you can go watch him against UCLA where he's, the lead blocker. He's turning into a fullback for us. There's a clip against LSU where he pancakes Stingley on the goal line to get us in the end zone. He's not afraid to mix it up, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world. And he's just a fighter, and he's one of the best kids I've ever been able to coach. And, in terms of what he'll do in the meeting room, he's going to be the first one to show up. He'll be the last one to leave, and he'll have an unbelievable knowledge of everything and all the intricacies of the offense. He really loves the why. Why are we doing this? Because if he can understand the why of it, he can, he makes the most of it, and now he can be able to operate it because, unfortunately, a receiver, it's not always how it looked when we drew it up on the board. But if he understands the why, then he'll do a great job of making sure he can execute the play how the coach wanted it to be done.
Well, I was definitely a why guy, so I'm already loving him, and I loved him anyway coming into this conversation. But I guess tell us, in capsule, and maybe you've already done that, but tell us a funny story, or it doesn't even have to be funny, just a story about him that maybe happened through his time there at UCLA that you would say, in a positive light is something that people need to know.
Well, I would say the only thing that he always gets nervous about the first punt return of a game. He always says the first play of the game has to be punt return. And I don't know why. It's just like he got a pregame jitter or something like that. He always wants to be on offense before he has to punt return. So every time he would look at me and be all nervous, and I'd be like, no, just go do it. You got it. And every single time he'd catch it, and I'd almost take it to the house. And he'd come back. He's like, you were right. You were right. I'm like, I don't even know why you get all nervous for all this stuff anymore. But he will be ready. He'll be ready. I guarantee if they give him a chance, punt number 1, when he's returning, he'll be ready when he gets a chance for the Titans in preseason.
Yeah, I expect him to be ready and continue taking them to the house. We're on with Jerry Newheisel, wide receiver coach for UCLA.
All right, I only got a couple more. Number one, I wanted to follow up a little bit with what Blaine just asked. Like, can he break dance, or does he like tacos? Because, can he like sew a quilt together? What's something about him so when we have him on, we'll just shock him with like, hey, man, we know that you can make a souffle out of cheese or whatever it is. Have you got like some inside info?
I don't know about his souffle making. He might have learned that over the past couple months. He's been without us. He's been at home. So he might have learned how to make a souffle in the time he's been off. But I do know he does know all the best spots in San Diego. So if you're looking for a tour guide, he is San Diego through and through. If you're looking for anybody to tell you where the best fish tacos are in all of San Diego, he's the only one to hit up. And every time I'm in town, because that's my recruiting area, I make sure he tells me exactly where to eat. He knows all the best spots over here. So when he's out there, make sure you show him the best barbecue in Tennessee, because that's all he's been talking about for the past couple of weeks.
Oh, barbecue. Okay, I didn't know if he was. I didn't know if we needed to, get him towards a vegan spot or something like that.
What is the deal with everyone thinking in California we're all vegan?
No, y'all just eat a little healthier.
maybe a little bit. I can't fight you on that one. There might be a few more vegan and organic places out here than anywhere else, but
it's not a lot of. You got to go looking long and hard to find. There's no organic barbecue. Let's leave it at that.
All seriousness, I have to find places like that, Jerry. I cannot find it. I'll go to the same spot every time.
He's more of a taco stand guy than anything. He'll find you the best taco truck around.
All right, on the way out, all these SEC fans are listening to you. Jerry Newheisel played quarterback at UCLA. He's the receivers coach now, Coach Kyle Phillips. Now, Blaine and me, we watch football on Saturday, and I stay up all night and even watch the West Coast games. Tell all these SEC people what they're missing if they're not staying up on Saturday night to watch UCLA and all these fast-paced West Coast teams.
Well, now you're trying to get me into trouble over here. But I think
no, we're trying to help you recruit. What are you talking about?
TV ratings, yeah.
I think the hardest thing in the world is the time difference. But in terms of football-wise, I think it's as good as any conference in the country. I think schematically-wise, we're about up there with anybody. I think it's really, really good athletes. And as you see, there's a lot of them playing on Sundays. We put 6 guys in the league this year. There's 13 of our guys from last year's roster that have now signed NFL contracts. And I think that's more than most of the teams in the SEC. I know there's a couple that are above us. I know with Georgia and Alabama and things like that. But, we're putting really good players out there. And I think just because of our time zone doesn't mean you shouldn't stay up, or at least TiVo it or DVR it so you can watch it the next day. Because there's really good football out here. There's really good talent out here. And I'm looking forward to more games where we can take on the SEC and figure out who the best conference in the country is.
Ooh. Well, when you come see Kyle, here's what you can come and hang out with us. Like, just do the whole show with us or something. You got open invitation.
I would absolutely love that. I know that Sirius XM is based there. My dad's on that, so he's in Nashville all the time. So I got to make sure we turn it into a whole family trip when I come see you guys.
We got a seat for each of you. He can bring his guitar. We'll have a good time. Jerry,
don't say that. You won't get us off the air then.
Jerry, thank you, man. People can follow you on Twitter at Jerry Newheisel, and they can stay up late and watch your games this fall. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes, sir. Jerry Newheisel. He looks like his dad. He sounds like his dad.
Oh, man. That is crazy.
Yeah. When I was looking at pictures, because somebody said in the Zone TV chat.
Why do our kids don't sound like us?
I don't know. I do sound just like my dad. Rest in peace. I sound just like him.
I don't sound like my dad either.
I do sound like mine. Somebody asked, was he the quarterback of the San Antonio Gunslingers? That was an old USFL team from the first time around. No, that was Rick.
That's his dad.
Rick played in that league. Rick was a quarterback at UCLA, just like Jerry was. It's kind of like their family business is UCLA. But I would say an interesting guy. He played corporate football in Japan. He was the quarterback and the quarterback coach.
You pull that out of your back pocket, man. How the heck you find that out?
If people have played college football, even within like the last 10 years, most of the time, their page is still up on their school's website if you search. So I find all kinds of stuff on dudes that way. But that was actually on his, I think that was actually on his coaching page for UCLA.
Yeah, I didn't go there.
I'm fascinated. I like media guides. I like all that stuff. I like Call Your Shot, and that's coming up next. You got a shot you want to call? We will do that coming up next. Also, try to skim the wire here and see if there's any other rookie minicamp news that we can get to for you as the Titans rookies are off the field after day one of camp. They'll be back tomorrow as well. And on Monday, of course, we'll get you all filled in on everything. But Call Your Shots coming up next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. That was fun talking to Jerry Newheisel. And Blaine, I think you're right. We were talking in the break. You're like, he'll be the head coach at UCLA one day.
Or, yeah, he'll be head coach at
somewhere,
for sure. Eventually, maybe there.
Malik Willis, we heard a little bit of him talking earlier, and he got asked about, that comment by Tannehill, and he messed around with everybody. I know, Lucas, you haven't had a chance to cut up the audio on that, but he was like, comment? What comment? Yeah, I messed. And then he, smiled. You could hear him. You could hear everybody like the air come out of the balloon. But said he has been to Ryan Tannehill's house, that he had all the skill position people over there. So, maybe my early shot that I would call is that I think those two are going to get along just fine. So people don't need to worry about that.
I never worried about that.
I know, but yeah, dude, we'd sit in here and do our show, and that was the headline.
People did.
People going crazy about that. Yeah, come on now, pump the brakes. Time for Call Your Shot. We do that this time every week. We do it on Friday, courtesy of Chattanooga Whiskey. Brought to you by Chattanooga Whiskey 91, an award-winning small batch bourbon available at your local retail store. Maybe you will enjoy some this weekend. Lucas, we got to make Robert call a shot too. If you're attached to the show, if you're adjacent in any way,
you have to attach.
We're going to keep putting you on the spot.
Robert's prepared.
Oh, he is prepared. I like that kind of party.
My shot is the Grizzlies are eliminated tonight. I was shocked that they blew out the Warriors at home the other day. I was stunned by that. The highest scoring playoff performance in franchise history, and without their star, Ja Morant. I think Golden State's going to be ready at home. Steph Curry's not going to go cold from three like he did in Game 4, I think it was, that the Warriors were still able to pull it out, and that was with Ja Morant. I'm going to go Grizzlies run out of gas without their star tonight. Though they've played very well without him all season long, I think the Warriors' championship DNA comes into play, and they move on to the Western Conference Finals.
I was going to do that, but I got to do something else now, so I'll let you go.
Well, I will say
Lucas
this.
is always stealing my shot.
I will say this. I had written that down, too, as mine.
That's okay.
But I know you always have two.
Well, I actually don't. That was my shot for this week. And it made me think of this. Like on the 4th of July, you got a Roman candle or, one of these multi-fire things, and it's poof, 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 and it's nice to look at, and everybody's enjoying it. And then you start to think, I think this sucker's about to run out of juice. And then out of nowhere, poof, it just blows one last load of joy towards the skies with the lights and the explosion and the gunpowder and everything. But then you realize, that's it. That's all she wrote. I think we saw the Grizzlies blow their last experience of good game playing a couple nights ago, or what was that? 2 nights? Yeah, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
I think that was just the final. Like, this is for you, fans. Whoop that trick one last time, and just know that we're about to go out to San Francisco and come home, and then restart what we're doing for next year. I love the team. They're fun to watch. They've played really well without Ja this year, but at some point, the Roman candle shoots its last, light, and I think that's maybe what we've seen. There you go.
Yeah, well,
all that to say what Lucas said.
All three of us can't say that. What's our new blood here?
You still don't know my name. What's my name, Blaine?
I forgot. What's your name?
Robert.
Robert what?
Robert Walsh.
Roberto
Walsh. Oh, that's right. I remember
Bill
Walsh.
Yeah,
Bill
Joe Walsh.
I could
Bill
remember.
Walsh.
My bad. Robert should be pretty easy. So if I call you Rob, you know what I'm talking about.
Whatever you want to call me, it really don't
I
matter.
like
I'm
Rob.
gonna call you Rob. Yeah, Rob.
Let's go with
cool.
Rob.
All my friends call me Bert, but you guys can pick Bert. Like
Bert.
Robert without the R-O.
Oh,
Bert.
wow, that's a stretch.
Well, I've never heard that.
I didn't come up
What
with
about
it. You can't
Robert
pick
or
your own.
Bob?
That's my dad. See, I'm Robert Lee Walsh the fourth, so my dad is Bobby. My grandpa is Bob.
Bobby.
Dadgummit, selling propane. I gotta call a shot of the week for you guys.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the Celtics. I'm gonna say the Celtics force a game 7 at the end of the game. Marcus Smart, 2 turnovers, very bad for the team. I think they're gonna come back with a vengeance tonight. Force game 7 against the Bucks. Not a big spread there, 1.5, but I still think they can pull it off.
I really like watching this Celtics team.
They're a lot of fun.
I know because Blaine, you've kind of gone down their roster with me one day. I know you've seen a lot of Celtics basketball.
Yeah, I was shocked they got beat. I was watching that game at the end there with Holiday kind of hitting the big 3 there. Yeah, they didn't execute at the end. I was stunned. That made me really nervous because I thought the Celtics actually could win this series. after they took one in Milwaukee. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a close one. I don't know. For whatever reason, I feel like the Celtics are going to get them. I don't know why, because Middleton is. You could tell all they do is play Greek freak, get out the way, and one-on-one ball. Maybe that's because I like Milwaukee, but man, I don't like that when Middleton plays. They're a much better balanced team. So even if they win the series, they're not gonna win it all. They have to have Middleton out there. He may be back by then. By the way, if they make it past this round.
Hit Bucks and Suns while you're at it. I feel like you're doing a fantastic job. This is like NBA Tonight.
Watch this. I'm about to get you. I think the Heat are going to beat the 76ers. Robert.
You didn't get me. I watched it.
That series is over.
I know that one's over. I thought Embiid might go out with more of a bang than that.
Oh, man.
And the Sixers. I thought Harden might shoot in the game, but, apparently that wasn't a thing.
Did you guys hear Doc after the game?
I'm going to go Celtics. Yeah, they said they're not letting him go, though, right?
I haven't seen that. I just said that if you think you could do a better job, I think I'd do a great job.
Yeah, I saw that.
Doc was very sassy after the game.
All right, well, I'm going Celtics then.
All right, you got Celtics over Bucks.
Win the series.
Okay, so
yeah, they play.
Mavericks, Suns. Who do you like?
And Mavs.
You like Mavs?
Yeah, because CP3 is not playing very well.
Yeah.
And that is an issue. And I don't know if he's injured again or what, but
I don't know. That kid
who
yelled at his mama.
No, but he didn't play again last night.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, was he fell off the cliff like Harden? Man, so yeah, I'm going Mavs. Yeah, Luka. Yeah, Luka does not play. He fascinates me. He's a case study to me because I don't think he's a super duper athlete. He's not super twitchy. He's great skill level at dribbling the ball, creating separation. He can shoot jump shots. Out this world, 3 or 4 steps behind the line, but he can go to the rack. And I love how he talks smack and flex on people. Like, you better recognize who I am. Yeah, I like that. Kind of remind me a little bit where I was, well, I can't flex now. I don't have no more muscles.
You had twitch, though. You were twitchy.
I went, gah.
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, yeah, I was twitchy. Yep, I was getting up on that horse. Ride him, cowboy. Let's go, baby.
99 problems, but a twitch ain't one for Blaine. Leaving is a problem for us because we got to leave right now because 3HL's about to come in the studio. So they'll get you the rest of the way home.
So in the meantime.
In between time. Peace.